Hi, welcome to Carlos Castaneda, The Wheel of Time, the wisdom of the shamans of ancient Mexico. I'm going to be interpreting quotes from Tales of Power from Don Juan. To be a warrior is not simply a matter of wishing to be one. Rather, it is an endless struggle that will go on to the very last moment of our lives. Nobody is born a warrior in exactly the same way as nobody is born an average man. We make ourselves into one or the other. So nobody's born a warrior in the same way as nobody's born an average person, an ordinary person. We make ourselves into average people by doing average things, by following average leaders, by aligning ourselves with average ideals. We become warriors in the same way by aligning ourselves with warrior ideals, with warrior practices, with cultivation practices, with exercises, techniques, meditation, and various other forms of physical practice, including martial arts, tensegrity, qigong, and yoga, and such like, along with a strategy that we implement in the way we approach the daily challenges of life. For example, if something bad were to happen to us, we don't necessarily judge it as bad. We try to find the positive. What can be learned out of this situation? What can be used, rather? And whereas an ordinary person might judge a situation to be bad and therefore feel self-pity, feel the justification for blaming, condemning, and so on, complaining, a warrior would find a strategic method of dealing with the challenge, learning from it and growing from it, evolving from the challenge. So we're all born the same way, helpless. Look at babies when they come out the safety of the maternal womb, where it's nourished and protected. All babies come out the same way, crying. You ever seen a baby that's been delivered that comes out not crying, not suffering? It's almost as if to say, here I am, born into the world, and I recognise that it's samsara, that there's a great deal of suffering in this plane, that I'm going to get cold and hungry, and there are going to be like obstacles to overcome, and much of life will be unpleasant until we learn the tools and strategies to become independent adults, to have a healthy, strong, individuated sense of self. And that healthy, strong, individuated sense of self is the warrior's way, because there is no other way that I can think of that is as effective for dealing with challenges as the warrior, the way of the warrior. Because a warrior deals with things strategically rather than judgmentally, saying things are good, bad, and so on. There has to be a fundamental acceptance of the way things are, the way people are, in order for us to take effective action, because effective action can only really take place in an ambience of cool emotional sufficiency, what Don Juan might call the warrior's ruthlessness, sobriety, acting without the burden of emotion. So we make ourselves into warriors by following the warrior's way. A warrior dies the hard way. His death must struggle to take him. A warrior does not give himself to death so easily. If a warrior has cultivated him and herself to a degree that he or she is able to meet every challenge in an effective manner and overcome those challenges on a daily, moment-to-moment basis, then I would say that that person is impeccable, has attained a level of proficiency, impeccability. But having said that, those life challenges, if they are met in this impeccable fashion, why should the challenge of death be any different? No, there's always the temptation with so many great people to think that, well, now I've achieved many things, I have a legacy now, that I can simply rest. And when one rests on their laurels, becomes complacent, then things start to decline, decay, rot away, disappear. As all great men decline, as all empires come to an end, so it will be if we don't see death as part also of life's challenges. The ultimate challenge, because everybody's going to die. It's not as if any of us can avoid it in any fundamental sense. So a warrior doesn't give himself to death so easily. Every challenge, every step of the warrior's way, of the path, the spiritual path, is a step towards the preparation for death, the ultimate challenge. Human beings are not objects. They have no solidity. They are round, luminous beings. They are boundless. The world of objects and solidity is only a description that was created to help them to make their passage on earth convenient. Like the languages, the language, the customs, the culture that we inherit and adopt and practice in our collective societies, because societies and cultures vary, we have adopted many unconscious patterns of thinking and behaviour, because behaviour always follows our thoughts. And one of these patterns is the erroneous identification with the body as being the true self. I'm alive, this is my body, this is who I am. You see? An intellectual might go to the other extreme and say, I think, as Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, because I have mentation, because I engage my mind, because I use my mind for learning, I cultivate my mind, I am an intellectual. They may say, for example, then, that my mind has solidity or reality, that I am my mind. You know, I think, therefore I am. So whereas the athlete identifies primarily with the body, the physical self, the intellectual or the academic, or the professor, the professori, identifies with the mind. And then you get various kinds of religious people and to a greater or lesser degree also the New Age, various practitioners of the New Age movement, and various spiritual or esoteric schools of Hinduism, Buddhism, Tantrism, Sufism, and so on, and Christian mysticism, and all these various esoteric sects perhaps identify with the soul, what they call the soul, that ineffable part of ourselves that is our very core of being. I am the soul, I am not this body or mind, I am the soul, as the Krishna consciousness people would say. Or the Christians might say, I'm not really a body or a mind. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience rather than vice versa. The kind of what have become almost cliches in the spiritual community now. So anyway, I got a little bit sidetracked in my ponderings. But let's say that whatever we identify with becomes solid. It becomes a description, and once we share it with members of our society or community, they also believe it, and the practice and repetition of it makes it more and more solid, more and more seemingly real. But that's all part of the tonal, and even the soul is part of the tonal, because we're still thinking and talking about it. We're not actually experiencing it directly. So, but as Don Juan says, we are not object. We are not the body, we're not the mind, we're not the soul. Rather, we are luminous beings. We have a luminous egg surrounding our physical bodies, which is filled to the brim with energy and can be redeployed, the energy, recirculated, transformed, made available, accessible, usable, right? It's like raw materials that exist in the ground that we don't know about. Well, the raw materials exist. They're just right under our feet. But we cannot access them because we don't have the right tools, we don't have the right equipment. Who knows what is in the earth that we haven't even discovered, because scientists have only penetrated so far into the surface of the earth, the mantle and so forth, We don't know what precious metals and stones may lie beneath our feet once we develop the right technologies. And it's the same with energy. It's the same with energy work or sorcery. One has to know about the luminous egg, the cocoon, as an energetic technology, if you like. It's part of the raw materials we have that we never use because we're not aware that it even exists in the first place. Right, so that's what we really are. If we want to say what's more real than the other, it's more real because it's in a sense eternal. It has materiality, but it will exist as long as this universe of energy exists, right? And how can energy die? Atoms don't die, for example. And subatomic particles, quantum soup, none of it dies. It's all in process, all in transition. So, shall we move on to the next one? Well, not before the last bit. It's only a description that was created to help us to make our passage on earth convenient, because it helps us survive. It helps us organise things. It helps us develop certain capacities that promulgate our survival and further our passage on Earth. But it's not the totality of ourselves. It's not who we ultimately really are. Absolutely, no. There are far superior potentials available and accessible, and they're all around us. Energy is infinite. Their reason makes him forget that the description is only a description, and before they realize it, human beings have entrapped the totality of themselves in a vicious circle from which they rarely emerge in their lifetimes. And what a travesty to have our assemblage points fixed in one place for the totality of our lives. Not accessing these raw materials, not redeploying and transforming our energy, not getting access to these supernormal powers and abilities. I mean, imagine living your life, the entirety of your life in an illusion, and getting to the end of life and saying, "Oh my God, all of that was just a description." It had no interior depth, no profundity, no ultimate significance. So, descriptions, beware. Concepts, beware. Beliefs, beware. To be a believer, if you break the word down, be, lie, ever, is to be in the lie forever. And who wants to be there? Not I. Until the next time, thanks for listening.